Hi guys, today I want to bring us back to the basics and the basics of photography. There are many tips out there that can help you to become a better photographer, but I believe that the basics and the foundation is most important. And when we speak about basics, what are they? Well, the first basic is your camera. I keep seeing people who have the newest cameras, but they don't necessarily know how to use them. Learn your gear. The camera needs to be part of your workflow. You need to be able to manage it. The camera is your tool body. You need to know everything about it. Well, not everything. You don't need to actually go and know every single feature out there, but you do need to know two things. The first one is how to focus properly, because even the modern cameras of today, they don't necessarily know on which exactly objects do you want to focus. Let's say you have 5 individuals in the frame and all of them are on different depths. Which one you want to focus on? So at least you need to be able to show on which person or on which individual you want to focus. You can use many techniques. You can use eye detection, you can use tracking focus, you can use zone focusing. Whatever focusing you work, you just need to know your stuff. You just need to know that when you're pointing your camera, it will focus to where you want and you know how to do it properly. The other thing that you need to perfect in your camera is the way you're controlling light. And again, there is no limitation here. You can use P mode with exposure compensation or aperture priority or shutter speed priority. It doesn't matter how. It's just important that you know how to control light. The camera, as much as good and smart as it is, it doesn't know what exactly you want to achieve. It always strives to this middle light exposure, but sometimes we want to make our images darker to create some kind of dramatic effect. And sometimes we want to make our images brighter to blow away the background and, I don't know, just focus on the subject. And the camera doesn't know. It will always give you that medium exposure. And yes, you can come back home and you can try to fix these things in Lightroom, but it's better to do it on spot. And when you learn to do it on spot, you will be able to get better results. And it will cost you also in editing. You will just edit less. As better you shoot, the less you need to edit. Another thing that I want to suggest regarding to cameras is don't overcomplicate your setup. One camera, one lens. If you have a flash, also know how to use it and just go for this. I see a lot of people using 2 cameras and like the reasoning is correct. I will use the wide lens for wide scenes and the telephoto lens for scenes a little bit further away or portraits. And it's all fine, but what it creates a split attention. You are all over the scene, your eyes are scanning all the time, close and far. And it's tiring, it's mentally tiring, and you're missing shots. Other than, you think that you will get more shots and like more accurate shots, but you're actually missing because it's a lot of mental work to do that. So if you have a single camera with a single lens and a single setup and you know how to use it properly, you will miss less shots and you will actually be more effective. The other one that I want to talk to you about is composition. Our second basic is composition. It's part of photography for so many years. Yes, moments are the winners, they're taking it all. But what happens if the moment happens and you can't compose it properly because you're not very good at composition, you just create an average photo. Practicing composition on a regular basis will allow you to be able to capture these moments better. Practicing composition on a regular basis will just allow you to capture these moments better. And when I speak about composition, I also want to suggest you to look beyond the object. It happens very often that when we see the object, we straight away jump on it and start to photograph it, and we ignore of what's happening all around. Try to look at things as a scene, because even when you photograph a portrait, there are other things around there. There might be a window, there might be a geometrical shape that will affect where exactly the portrait is positioned. So look, always throw an eye on your subject and throw an eye on behind to see what's happening. Look at the background, look if there is anything distracting there. Whatever you see in the viewfinder, you need to understand that it will be in your image. And when I speak about composition, I want you to take a look beyond the object. You photograph your object, that's fine, but also take a look at the background, take a look at the scene as a whole. You need to understand that whatever is 100 meters or, I don't know, 200 yards behind, if there's a yellow track there, that yellow track, at the moment you press at the bottom, it will be on the same line with your object, even if it's so far behind. So you need to learn to look at the object in front of you and what's happening in the back. Always. Eye forward, eye backwards, and then you kind of see, okay, I need to recompose or fix it. One of my all-time tips is just to commit to a single focal length. For example, take a 35mm and shoot with it for 2 years. Don't use any other lens. If you do that on a regular basis, or if you do that for 2 years, you will naturally start composing better. First of all, the 35mm is a medium wide lens, and even if you open the aperture to 2.8 or to f2, the elements in the background inevitably get inside, and it will teach you to pay attention to what's happening in the background. If you're shooting with a longer focal length, let's say, I don't know, 85mm or a 70-200 lens, you're usually on the subject and the background gets blurred, and you don't really practice composition. You just work with a single subject and maybe some elements around that are very, very close, but you're not practicing composition properly. A single lens, a single focal length, it will be something that will seriously improve your compositional skills. You can see even a lot of manufacturers today are committing to these cameras with a single focal length. Take the X100 series, take the Leica Qs, the Ricoh GR. All of them are with a lens that you cannot change. And people love these cameras simply because of the reason that they're feeling that they're getting better using them. So if you use such a camera for an extended period of time, you will get better. You will get much better than a person that is using zoom during all this time. One of the other fundamentals of photography are light and color. These are the basic elements that we work with. If you learn to work with light and color properly, you might be able to create very, very interesting images, even regardless to the moment. Just playing with light, with a still object, it's still beautiful, it's art. You can really achieve some wonderful things just with these two, regardless to street photography. And we use them basically in two ways. One is to create contrast, the other one is to create harmony. And we can use both of them in exactly the same way. If you use two colors on opposite side of the wheel, you will create contrast. If you use a harder light, you will create contrast. Softer light will create harmony. And the two colors that are on a similar side of the color wheel will create harmony as well. So they're kind of working in the same way, but they also affect each other. So learn about this relationship. Observe life all the time. Light changes through the day. In the morning, you will have a certain type of light, 1 hour later another. Sometimes light changes in 15 minutes. Actually, I spoke with a photographer who recently started doing landscape, and he said, you know what? I discovered that in 5 minutes, the morning light can change significantly and affect the whole photo. Yes, there are about 5 minutes or even sometimes 3 minutes on the sun, in the sunrise, that you have this very, very, very special light. But this is landscape photography. Let's leave it aside. But what I'm trying to say is that light is very important. It changes all the time. In a scene that looks in a certain time, in a certain way, it will look absolutely differently 1 hour later. And both light and color, then they give certain mood to the photographs. You can create really cinematic photographs just by using a certain type of light. Light and color, they're also very strongly connected to our feelings. And if you know how to manipulate this properly, you can potentially manipulate the feelings of the people who is viewing these photographs. What to do if light is absent? Sometimes we are going outside and there's a great sky, and a lot of photographers will tell you, well, there is no good light today, what should I do? Well, you can work with color, you can work with shape. Actually, if you take any photo, you can usually break it down to different types of shapes. And that would probably be my next basic, which is shape. If you take any photograph and try to break it down, you will recognize that it's actually a collection of different shapes, lines, forms, and vice versa. And a lot of times, to understand what's happening in a photograph, I will take a photo and start drawing lines to understand how exactly it made up and why does it feel in a certain way. Sometimes you can have a big chunk of something dark off the top of the photo, and it will create it top heavy. You can look at that one. And sometimes you can have a very big dark shape on the bottom. It will create a feeling of stability. So you need to understand how these shapes are affecting the image that you're trying to show. Basically, learn to pay attention to the forms. And sometimes if you don't understand what's happening, just break down the images into parts. And that brings me to the next basic, which is moment. It's probably the holy grail of photography. And when you speak about street photography, there are two approaches to do it. One is fishing and the other one is hunting. And both are valid, but I would say that fishing can create more visually appealing images, because you kind of find a very beautiful scene in a backdrop and you just wait for something to happen to it. They're prettier, but the problem with them that they're easier to replicate. You have no guarantee that someone will not come to exactly the same spot tomorrow and will fish a very similar image. That's why the images that are achieved through hunting are more unique. These moments are yours. They are not so easy to replicate. and certain moments are just unable to replicate. So I would rather suggest you focusing, well, you can start with fishing throughout the day, but also don't forget to pay attention for moments happening around you, because the moments can be actually more powerful. You can spend the whole day trying to capture a particular fishing shot, and then you will turn your head around and you will see a moment that will be simply unforgettable, and that photograph will be much more interesting than the fishing one. And the last basic is your humanity, it's your attitude. My suggestion is always to approach photography with respect and smile. You should respect the people you're photographing. I know that a lot of street photographers will go with a little bit of a rude and like a bully attitude, that if I don't go there and I don't push my camera into their faces, I will not get the shot. But you know, there are there are things that are more important than shots. You should respect your subject. If someone tells you no, just no. Carry on. There are many people on the street, there are many moments happening all around, and you will get your shot in another place. That's not an issue. Another thing that I want to suggest is don't hide. Fear is a big issue, especially when you're beginning with street photography. You're kind of afraid to approach people, and you're afraid to put yourself out there. So you're shooting with all these techniques from the hip, or you're using a very big zoom lens and I don't know, trying to capture the person from far away distance. This creates unengaging images, and the other thing is when you get caught, you will just come up as a creep, and I don't know, like nobody wants to be a creep. So that will be it for now. I have many more tips, and you can ask me about more things in the comments below, and I'll be happy to record another video for you. See you next time.